Hello friends, I am Aditi. Welcome to my channel Library Mouse. Today I am going to read a book, How to Develop Self-Confidence and Influence People by Public Speaking by Dale Carnegie. This book contains 12 chapters. First, stress important words. Subordinate unimportant ones. In conversation, we hit one syllable in a word and hit it hard and hurry over the others like a pay car passing a string of hobos. Example, Massachusetts. Application, attractiveness, environment. We do almost the same thing with a sentence. We make one or two important words tower up like the Empire State Building on 5th Avenue, New York. This is not a strange or unusual process I am describing. Listen, you can hear it going on about you all the time. You yourself did it 100, maybe 1,000 times yesterday. You will doubtlessly do it 100 times tomorrow. Here is an example. Read the following quotation. Striking the word is big type hard. Run over the others quickly. What is the effect? I have succeeded in whatever I have undertaken because I have willed it. I have never hesitated, which has given me an advantage over the rest of mankind. Napoleon. This is not the only way to read these lines. Another speaker would do it differently, perhaps. There are no ironclad rules for emphasis. It all depends. Read these selections aloud in an earnest manner, trying to make the idea clear and convincing. Don't you find yourself stressing the big important words and hurrying over the others? If you think you are beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you'd like to win but think you can't, it's almost a cinch you won't. Life's battle don't always go to the stronger or fastest men, but soon or late the man who wins is the one who thinks he can. Anon. Perhaps there is no more important component of character that's steadfast resolution. The boy who is going to make a great man or is going to count in any way in afterlife must make up in his mind not merely to overcome 1,000 obstacles but to win in spite of all 1,000 repulses and defeats. The Theodore Roosevelt. Second, change your pitch. The pitch of your voice in conversation flows up and down the scale from high to low and back again, never resting but always shifting like the face of a sea. Why? No one knows and no one cares. The effect is pleasing and it is the way of nature. We never had to learn to do this. It came to us as children, unsought and unaware. But let us stand up and face an audience, and the chances are our noise will become as dull, flat and monotonous as the alkali desert of Nevada. When you find yourself talking in a monotonous pitch, and usually it will be a high one, just pause for a second and say to yourself, I am speaking like a wooden Indian. Talk to these people, be human, be natural. Will that kind of lecture to yourself will help you any? A little perhaps. The pause itself will help you. You have to work out your own salivation by practice. You can make any phrases or word that you choose stand out like a greenway tree in the front yard by either suddenly lowering or raising your pitch on it. Dr. S. Parks Cademan, the famous Congregational minister of Brooklyn, offended it. So did Sir Oliver Lodge. So did Bryan. So did Roosevelt, so does almost every speaker of note. In the following quotation, try saying the italicized words in a much lower pitch than you use for the rest of the sentence. What is the effect? I have but one merit, that of never disappearing. Marshall Falk. The great aim of education is not knowledge, but action. Herbert Spencer. I have lived 86 years. I have watched men climb up to success, hundreds of them, and of all the elements that they are important for success, the most important is faith. Cardinal Gibbons. Third, vary your rate of speaking. When a little child talks or when we talk in ordinary conversation, we constantly change our rate of speaking. It is pleasing, it is natural, it is unconscious, it is sympathetic. It is in fact one of the very best of all possible ways to make an idea stand out prominently. Walter V. Stevens, in his Reporter's Lincoln issued by the Missouri Historical Society, tell us that this was one of Lincoln's favorite methods of driving a point home. He would speak several words with great rapidity, come to the word or phrases he wished to emphasize, and let his voice linger and bear hard on that. And then he would rush to the end of his sentence like lightning. He would devote as much time to the word or two he wished to emphasize as he did to half a dozen less important words following it. Such a method invariably arrests attention. To illustrate, I have often quoted in a public talk the following statement by Carnegie Gibbons. I wanted to emphasize the idea of courage, so I lingered on these italicized words, drew them out and spoke as if I myself were impressed with them, and I was. Will you please read the selection aloud, trying the same method and note the results? A short time before his death, Cardinal Gibbons said, I have lived 86 years. I have watched men climb up to success, hundreds of them, and all the elements that are important for success. The most important is faith. No great thing comes to any man unless he has courage. Try this, say $30 million, quickly and with an air of triviality so that it sounds like a very small sum. Now say $30,000. Say it slowly, say it feelingly, say it as if you were tremendously impressed with the hugeness of the amount. Haven't you now made the 30,000 sound larger than the 30 million? Fourth, pause before and after important ideas. Lincoln often paused in his speaking when Lai had come to a big idea that he wished to impress deeply on the minds of the hearers. He went forward, looked directly into their eyes for a moment and said nothing at all. This sudden silence had the same effect as a sound noise. It attracted notice. It made everyone attentive, alert, awake to what was coming next. For example, when his famous debates with Douglas were drawing to a close, when all the indications pointed to his defeat, he became depressed, his old habitual melancholy stealing over him at times and imparting to his words a touching pathos. In one of his concluding speeches, he suddenly stopped and stood silent for a moment, looking around upon the throng of half indifferent, half friendly faces before him, with those deep sunken, weary eyes that always seemed full of unshed tears. Folding his hands as if they too were tired of the helpless fight, he said in his peculiar monotone, "My friends, it makes little difference, very little difference, whether Judge Douglas or myself is elected to the United States Senate, but the great issue which we have submitted to you today is far above and beyond any personal interest or the political fortunes of any man. And my friends," here he paused again, and the audience were intent on every word, "that issue will give and breathe and balm when the poor, feeble, streaming tongues of Judge Douglas and myself are silent in grave." This simple verse relates one of his biographers, and the manner in which they were spoken touched every heart to the core. Lincoln also paused after the phrase he wanted to emphasize. He added to their force by keeping silent while the meaning sank in and effected its mission. Sir Oliver Lodge paused frequently in his speaking, both before and after important ideas. Paused as often as 3 or 4 times in one sentence, but he did it naturally and unconsciously. No man, unless he were analyzing Sir Oliver's methods, would notice it. "By your silence," said Kipling, "ye shall speak." Now here is silence more golden than when it is judiciously used in talking. It is a powerful tool, too important to be ignored, yet it is usually neglected by the beginning speaker. In the following excerpts from Holman's Ginz's talks, I have marked the places where a speaker might profitably pause. I do not say that these are the only places where one ought to pause, or even the best places. I say only that it is one way of doing it. Where to pause is not a matter of hard and fast rules, it is a matter of meaning and temperature and feeling. You might pause one place in a speech today and in another place in the same speech tomorrow. Read this selection aloud without pausing and read it again. Making the pause, I have indicated what is the effect of a pause. Selling goods is a battle, and only fighters can win in it. We may not like these conditions, but we didn't have the making of them and we can't alert them. Take your courage with you when you enter the sailing game. If you don't, you will strike out every time you come to bat and score nothing higher than a string of goose eggs. No man ever made a 3-base hit who was afraid of the pitcher. Remember that. The fellow who knocks the cover off the ball or lifts it over the fence for a home run is always the chap who steps up to the plate with grim determination in his heart. Read the following quotations aloud and with force and meaning. Observe where you naturally pause. The great American desert is not located in Idaho, New Mexico or Arizona. It is located under the hat of the average man. The great American desert is a mental desert rather than a physical desert. Written by J.S. Knox. There is no panacea for human ills. The nearest approach to it is publicity. Written by Professor Foxwell. There are two people I must please, God and Greffield. I must live with Greffield here, with God hereafter. Written by James A. Greffield. A speaker may follow the directions I have set down in this chapter and still have 100 faults. He may talk in public just as he does in conversation, and consequently, he may speak with an unpleasant voice and make grammatical errors and be awkward and offensive and do a score of unpleasant things. A person's natural method of everyday talking may need a vast number of improvements. Perfect your natural method of talking in conversation and then carry that method to the platform. Here we completed our chapter 6. In next video we will continue with chapter 7. Thank you so much for listening it, and I hope it is understandable to you. If you enjoy watching my videos, do like, subscribe and share with your family and friends. Thank you.